Hey, Dr. C, here today to talk a little bit about breathing. Now, we don't mention that as often when we're doing the exercise, but breathing is a very essential component of your exercise. And actually, without proper breathing, you can actually hurt yourself with exercise. So let's delve into all of the different types of breathing that exist with exercise and talk a little bit about the physiology of breathing. Just so you can't ignore that. And it's a simple thing, but you got to understand it, that's all. So let's talk a little bit about breathing. One important factor throughout any of this, when I talk about exercise and breathing, whenever you are relaxing, you breathe in. Whenever you're exercising or exerting, you breathe out. That's the very first principle. Always remember that. Relaxing, breathe in. Straining or exercising, breathe out. I got one more that I got to tell you about. That's as a prelude to all this, of course. And that is, if you need to relax, the expiration, the breathing out, is the important factor. The deeper and the more efficient your exhalation, your breathing out is, the better the anxiety component is dealt with. So it's that exhalation that we're going to talk about with all the differences. Good. Normally as adults, we breathe anywhere they say, between 12 to 18 breaths per minute, as an average. Now, my wife is on my case all the time because I've been exercising and the breathing stuff for so long now that I very naturally, when I take a deep breath, when I exhale, I do a little puckering. She interprets that as problem, shortness of breath. You got lung disease or something. No, my oxygen is 98% saturated. I'm okay. It's that I've developed that now so that it's a natural thing now for me to purse my lips a little when I exhale. Okay, let's deal with that a little bit more with the physiology. When you're breathing in, you're taking in your oxygen. Your body needs oxygen for energy. Oxygen is an essential component for that ATP and those mitochondria to work. You need oxygen. So the better your oxygenation, more energy you have. When you breathe out, you're breathing out carbon dioxide. You got to have some carbon dioxide. You can't live without it either. But you don't want too much of it in there. So if you are not breathing deeply enough, you're not breathing fast enough, you're elevating your carbon dioxide in the body. That's called hypoventilation, if you want to be a stickler on big words. Hypoventilation. As that carbon dioxide builds up, it turns into an acid in your bloodstream. So they would call someone with an excessive amount of acid in the bloodstream acidemic, or metabolic or respiratory acidosis. Okay. What happens with the opposite? What happens if you hyperventilate? You're breathing either too fast, usually it's too fast, but you're getting rid of too much carbon dioxide. Now, it's just the opposite. You now are alkalotic. You're not acidotic anymore. Both of those things, acidosis and alkalosis, are a problem, and they have their own individual symptoms. For example, with excessive breathing, hyperventilation, lowered carbon dioxide, you begin to get a numbness and tingling, first around the lips, then in the fingertips. You begin to get a little lightheaded. And if you continue to be acidotic, that can progress. Not just lightheaded, you can get actually dizzy and pass out. It can get very bad. So that just gives you an example physiologically of these breathing techniques, what they can do. So let's talk about the techniques. First of all, yoga. Now, yoga uses the big, deep diaphragmatic breath. Deep diaphragmatic breath. So let me put down my cheat sheet, and we're going to go over how do you exercise for that diaphragmatic breath. I'm going to come forward on my chair, get up nice and straight so you can see my belly too. Well, you got to see that belly. I know I should probably take it all off, but that would scare the hell out of everybody, so not going to do that. Okay. Put your right hand on the belly, just below the belly button. Put your left hand on your chest. Now with a diaphragmatic breath, the diaphragm goes down. That means the belly expands out. So if I take a big breath in through my nose, hand goes out. Okay? How can I also tell if I'm getting a good breath in the lung? You put your two hands on the rib cage, right on the edge of the rib cage, so you can see the fingers. Now when you take your deep breath in, the hand actually goes out. Goes in when you breathe out. So now you know you're taking a good deep breath in, diaphragm goes out. Now, diaphragmatic breath. Always in through the nose, out through the mouth. So when I take a deep breath in, you hold it for the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and then breathe out. With those pursed lips, it's very easy then to prolong that expiration. And so, usually it can be up to twice as long as the inhalation. So that is a diaphragmatic breath, or a yoga breath if you want to call it that. What does that do to your body? Well, number one, it relieves anxiety. For example, if I go into the dentist and all, I will take 3 good, deep diaphragmatic breaths, and I'm calmer. Now, it doesn't cure anything, it just calms you down. How does it do that? What the heck is the physiology behind a deep breath causing you to calm down? Well, the answer is it's the parasympathetic nervous system. As you know, your nervous system includes the brain, the spinal cord, and all the nerves out in the body. Some of the nerves go to the muscles, cause the muscles to contract. It's called a motor nerve. Some of them go to the skin and to other areas of the body. That causes sensation. So those are sensory nerves. There's also a third nerve called an autonomic nerve. It could be a sympathetic nerve, which causes fight or flight. In other words, get you riled up, get you fired up, get you breathing faster and all. Or it can be rest and digest. That is the parasympathetic nerve. The theory is that deep breath influences the vagus nerve coming down from the brain. It's the longest nerve in the body. all the way down, all the way down. Influences all the organs in the belly and in the lung. Vagus nerve. When you stimulate the vagus nerve, your breathing slows, your heart rate slows. Believe it or not, your oxygen level goes up a little, and your cortisol level, remember cortisol is the stress hormone, cortisol level comes down a little, just with a simple deep breath. So that's diaphragmatic or deep breath. Now the second type of breath I'm going to talk about is Pilates breath. Now Pilates breath is a pure chest breath. Remember I said you can tell if the chest breath is working at all because when you take that big breath in, hands go to the side, come in when you breathe out. You're taking that breath in. But with a Pilates breath, you want to exercise the muscles of the belly, the core muscles as well. And so Joseph Pilates made it a pure chest breath so that when you breathe in, you hold it. Now when you breathe out, that belly doesn't go out when you breathe in. You hold that belly steady. And then when you breathe out, you suck that belly right in so it's ready to touch that backbone. That requires tension in the muscles, the core muscles. So it's a good way to exercise your muscles as well as doing your breathing. Now there's other types of breathing exercises that you can do as well. For example, yoga has a lot of specialty names to their breathing. What it does is that it controls the rate of breathing or the depth of breathing. And by controlling that, you can actually meditate. You can actually listen to your breath, focusing on the breath, in and out. In and out. They also in yoga have a thing called an Ujjayi. Ujjayi. Weird sounding thing, right? Ujjayi. But what it does is this, and the way you exercise to do that breath, first, you relax as best you can. Good posture, always good posture, remember. You take your breath in, open your mouth, and a big ha. That's called a lion's breath. Now, the lion's breath has an additional advantage to it. There's a sound to it as well. It's that sound. You can focus on that as well. And that is part of meditation, for example, the sound of the breathing out. Now, that sound, that ha sound, it's described as either a whisper or a hum or whatever. But you can do that and listen to it. Now, the way you can listen better to that hum, first of all, practice that hum first. But this time, instead of opening your mouth, you're going to keep your mouth closed and still hum. Big breath in. I'm going to do that one more time. Hopefully you can hear it. Big breath in. Now, if you want to really hear it as part of meditation, and you can do these breaths as part of meditation as well, you cover your ears. Cover your ears. Now, big breath in. Ujjayi breath. They call that a Darth Vader breath because, as you recall, back when old Darth Vader was around, you could hear that breathing out all the time. Darth Vader breath. Interesting. So, an Ujjayi breath. Now, as I mentioned, there's loads of ways to exercise your breathing and keep it controlled. Now, one way of keeping it controlled is to use alternate nostril breathing. In other words, using one hand, push away on the right nostril, breathe in through the left, breathe out through the right. In through the left, out through the right. Alternate breathing makes you think of the breath. You focus on that breath and you do it slowly. So that's one way of exercising a controlled breath. There are many other ways as well. You can do a box breath. B-O-X, a box breath. When you breathe in, the top of that square box is 4 seconds. Hold it. Breathe out. Breathe in. 4 seconds, each one of those things. So that is called a box breath. Box breath. Now there's other breaths, and we're going to go through quite a few of them. One of the favorites, I guess, that people have is the 4-7-8 breath. 4 seconds breathing in, 7 seconds holding it, 8 seconds breathing out. Let's do one of those. Breathing in through your nose. Hold it for 7. Purse your lips and breathing out. So that's 8. So 4 in, hold 7, out 8. What that does, it expands the breathing out. It expands the time that you hold it. Both of those have an influence on that parasympathetic nerve system, the vagus nerve, slows the heart rate, increases oxygen. You do get relaxed. Okay, so that's another breathing technique that you can practice. In between some of these breathing exercises that you may want to do, you, for maybe a minute or so, just breathe normally. You need to use your normal breathing. In fact, some of them use that normal breath so that you can then count how long you take. For example, there's a thing called a resonant, not resident, resonant breath. That resonant breath is timed. Now you're breathing in through your nose, out through your nose. It's timed. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. You notice that the middle part, in between the in and out, is not the key here. It's trying to get you to breathe slower. Now it takes 10 seconds. So what you're going to do is only breathe 6 breaths per minute. In 5, out 5. In 5, out 5. What that does also stimulates that parasympathetic nerve system. What else can we do besides that? Well, we can do in Tai Chi. Let's take Tai Chi as an exercise example. Tai Chi doesn't emphasize the breathing, but they use it. Tai Chi emphasizes relaxation. You've got to be relaxed. You may have to close your eyes if you have to relax. I know I really will relax better with my eyes closed than with them open. So with that relaxed breath, you take your big breath in, and you can use the diaphragmatic breath, big breath in, and then slowly out. And you use that pursed breath to breathe out. Now, different types of exercise will require differences in the breathing technique. One of the examples is Lamaze breathing. Of course, all you elderly who are out there, you've been through that. The women have been through that. Some of the men have because they need a partner to do their Lamaze training. Lamaze training controls your breath, and it controls a deep breath. Deep breath. So when you're not in any labor, which is the first stage, I guess, of Lamaze, you just take your normal, deep breath, but controlled and nice and slow. Now, when the contractions come, the breath will change a little bit because you're supposed to, remember, with any active muscle contraction, you breathe out. So when you get a contraction with Lamaze, you breathe out real slow. And then you breathe in. Now you can take that a little further as well. Besides the Lamaze, you can do what's called a breath of fire. Breath of fire. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Breath of fire. But it is a good one to practice as well. Now what you do with a breath of fire is you take a deep breath in through your nose, diaphragm comes down. Now breathe all the way out, just like you would with the Pilates breath, all the way out. Only now you breathe out. You make that noise, breathing out, tightening that belly muscle. You do probably 5 or 6 of those exhalations, short exhalations, but that completely empties the lung, and then you relax. You don't actively breathe in. You let that happen passively. So again, when you're doing the breath of fire, you breathe in, breathe out, and breathe in. So that is the breath of fire. There's also other breaths as well. The breath that we teach kids, for example, how to if they wanted to do some yoga or well, how do you breathe? You got to make a game of it with the kids. So we have them hold their hand out. Hold it up. Use your index finger on the other hand. You're going to put that finger on the inside part of the finger. relax your fingers, breathing in as you bring that index finger up. Stretch the finger out so it's an active, and breathing out. Then you go to the next. Breathing in, hold, breathing out. On to the next. Breathing in, hold, breathing out. You do all 5 fingers. So that's teaching the kids how to breathe in and how to breathe out and when to do it. So that is a 5-finger breath. 5-finger breath. There's also other breaths too as well. Yeah. I apologize. I have to take lisinopril for my blood pressure, and doggone it, it does cause a cough. Not non-productive, but that's a very common symptom of using lisinopril. So let's talk about a couple more. Well, we only have time for a couple more. Hyperventilation, excessive breathing. You're breathing fast as hell. Let's say that you're prone to get anxiety attacks or panic attacks. What they tell you to do, breathe into a paper bag. Why a paper bag? You can't use a plastic bag. It's dangerous. Use a paper bag. You put the mouth and the nose into the paper bag. Keep breathing. That elevates that carbon dioxide in that paper bag. That slows the rate down and relaxes you. We use that principle in surgery as well. After surgery, when you have pain, you don't tend to breathe very deeply. So we use a yard-long tube that you breathe in. Squeeze your nose, of course. Breathe in and out through your mouth. That elevates the carbon dioxide, and you breathe deeper. Okay, those are a whole bunch of different breathing exercises that you can do. Practice them. This is Dr. C. Have a good day.